Microplastics are the rising hidden danger that is a threat to our health, to our metabolism, to our hormones, that is right under our noses and are being consumed without people realizing that they're consuming them, because you can't smell them, you can't taste them, and you can't see them when they are in your food. For example, like in a hot beverage, like you go to a coffee shop and you get a coffee to go in one of those, what
Yeah,
looks
coffee
like a
cup.
paper cup,
It's
but the
not.
inside, if it was all paper, it would just like the coffee would just soak right through. So they have to be lined and protected, and they're lined with plastic. But then what do? You put a plastic lid on top. So then you're drinking your hot beverage through the plastic lid. And anytime, especially hot fluids, anything heat is going to release the microplastics within the plastic. And you get these like fine fibers and shards of plastic that are really tiny that get absorbed into your body. And we need to really remember, especially for your audience, for menopausal women, for even premenopausal women, that microplastics are endocrine disrupting chemicals. They mess up your hormones, and especially female hormones. They act like estrogen in the body, so they're going to send your hormones out of whack. And if you're wondering, like, you've done everything possible to balance your hormones and yet things aren't quite right, you have to look right under your nose. What are you doing every day? Are you drinking coffee? Are you getting a coffee to go every day and getting exposed to microplastics? But also, like, food is wrapped
Food
in
is right.
plastic. Like, or when you order in from a restaurant, you're getting your food delivered in a plastic container that comes hot. So it's become ubiquitous. It's a little bit doom and gloom because it's pervaded our society so much that you really have to think about your behaviors, and especially the things that you do every day, and decide, like, are there ways that you can change what you do in order to not get exposed to microplastics? And we can talk about what microplastics do to the gut. That's actually a whole new area that no one was looking at, and now it's starting to really come to the forefront. Like, what exactly do these microplastics, aside from scrambling our hormones, they are messing up our gut health?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I think about is dysbiosis. And then also, I'm guessing at least a little bit of leaky gut.
Disruptions in the gut microbiome.
Mhm.
And we know this from a study, like there's not enough human studies yet, but we know this from a study in zebrafish where they looked at the microbiome, the gut microbiome in the zebrafish, and they found that when exposed to microplastics, they tended to have more harmful bacteria growing in their gut. The microplastics also cause loss of the mucus layer of the gut. And if you think about, the gut is like this singular cellular tube that is basically like having a thin drywall protecting you from the outside. Would you live in a home that just had one drywall protecting you from the weather and the elements? It's a pretty brittle system. So what the body does is it secretes this mucus layer on the other side, on the inside of the gut lumen, that acts as kind of a buffer zone, like a stop zone, to keep bad bacteria and other things from getting into the body. So the microplastics in this zebrafish study were found to basically, when you break down the mucus layer and you have overgrowth of bad bacteria, then the next thing that you're going to have is a leaky gut. And once you have leaky gut, you've got the pathway to inflammation is open. The floodgates are open, and that leads to weight gain, to insulin resistance, to metabolic issues. And we know from another study that was done in mice that exposure to microplastics cause metabolic derangements, actually cause their cholesterol to go high, and cause weight gain.
Yeah.
Now, humans aren't mice, but we have to think, when we look at these animal models, that there's some learning there that can be translated, that if it's happening to them to some degree, it could be happening to us as well.
Well, I know that research is showing that there's microplastics in breast milk and that there is microplastics even within our vascular walls. We know that it's, like you said, it's not only pervasive in everywhere we go, whether you're shopping at Trader Joe's or you're picking up takeout or you're grabbing coffee from your bougie boutique, not a Starbucks, but your really nice coffee shop, they're still using plastic, or even your sodas. The lining of those cans is not just aluminum, it's
No,
plastic,
no.
all of
And
it.
any containers.
Yeah, any
So you
container.
have to think about that. And also like water bottles, like they might be in the refrigerator when you buy them, but how many temperature changes did they go through before they got to the store? And did they go through some higher temperatures or heat that releases plastic into the water? So they're ubiquitous.
Yeah,
And
like you
we
said.
have to think about like how they affect us, not just as endocrine disrupting chemicals that scramble our metabolism and can lead to weight gain. So yet another thing to think about in terms of what could be the hidden causes for weight gain or weight loss resistance. But also there was another study done in 2022 where they looked at patients with inflammatory bowel disease, like ulcerative colitis being an example. And they found that patients with inflammatory bowel disease had way higher levels of microplastics in their stool compared to normal people. And again, it's not a cause and effect, but you have to start asking the question, is there some sort of connection even with inflammatory bowel diseases and microplastics, because they are disrupting the gut microbiome, they're disrupting the mucus layer, leading to inflammation, leading to leaky gut. And yet that's even something that we weren't talking about 15 years ago when I was studying functional medicine. Microplastics were not something that was in the picture. We were talking about like phthalates and parabens and perfumes and cosmetic products and things like that, but no one was really talking about microplastics. And I think now, because there's research coming out, we're realizing that this is a really big problem.